everyone. Thank you for joining me. We are going to start our virtual classroom read aloud. We are going to be reading the book Wonder by R.J. Palacio. When we start a new book, we always like to, or just a text in general, we always like to preview, make some connections, predictions about what we think it's going to be about. Now, this is a little bit challenging for me because I've already read this book. It's a great book. That's why I want to share it with you guys. And I know some students have already read it as well. But just pretending that I maybe have not read this book before, I would look at it and I would think, all right, so the picture on the front has a picture of or is the outline of a boy. So I think maybe it's going to be, he's going to be one of the main characters. I also noticed that he has a eye that is a different color. So I'm thinking that maybe it has to do with something that he is seeing. So those would probably be my predictions. Another thing that you can do to predict is you can look at the author. So maybe you've read some of, if you're reading a book and you notice, hey, that's R.L. Stine. Well, I know he writes Goosebumps, so it's probably going to be that kind of story. This story is really unique because R.J. Palacio, this was actually her first novel that she wrote. She worked as a editorial director in New York City, and so she was working on other people's stories, but this is her first novel, so that's pretty cool. And she wrote it in 2013, I believe. So this is a picture of her. So she had her career. She was doing that for more than 20 years. And then she decided to write her own. So it's never too late, or it's always cool to start something. If you feel like you can be a writer, the first thing to do is start writing. All right. Wonder, R.J. Palacio. Part 1, August. Fate smiled and destiny laughed as she came to my cradle. Natalie Merchant, Wonder. It's a quote from Natalie Merchant. That makes me actually think my parents used to listen to Natalie Merchant, so I know that song. So that's a connection to it. Ordinary. So this book is really cool about seeing points of view, and we're going to actually be doing a writing project after we finish reading it related to points of view. So part 1 is August, so just be thinking about that as we read. Ordinary. I know I'm not an ordinary 10-year-old kid. I mean, sure, I do ordinary things. I eat ice cream, I ride my bike, I play ball, I have an Xbox. Stuff like that makes me ordinary, I guess. And I feel ordinary inside. But I know ordinary kids don't make other ordinary kids run away screaming on playgrounds. I know ordinary kids don't get stared at wherever they go. If I found a magic lamp and I could have one wish, I would wish that I had a normal face that no one ever noticed at all. Biscuit, come here. We can have Biscuit join story time. Come here. Up. On this side. Come on. Girl. Lie down. Lie down. Lie down. Sit. Come on. Right, give me a look bad. Good girl. Wish I didn't know. If I found a magic lamp and I could have one wish, I would wish that I had a normal face that no one ever noticed at all. I would wish that I could walk down the street without people seeing me and then doing that awful look away thing. Here's what I think. The only reason I'm not ordinary is that no one else sees me that way. But I'm kind of used to how I look by now. I know how to pretend I don't see the faces people make. We've all gotten pretty good at that sort of thing. Mom, Dad, Via. Actually, I take that back. Via's not so good at it. She can get really annoyed when people do something rude. Like, for instance, one time in the playground, some other older kids made some noises. I don't even know what the noises were exactly because I didn't hear them myself. But Via heard, and she just started yelling at the kids. That's the way she is. I'm not that way. Via doesn't see me as ordinary. She says she does, but if I were ordinary, she wouldn't feel like she needs to protect me as much. And Mom and Dad don't see me as ordinary either. They see me as extraordinary. I think the only person in the world who realizes how ordinary I am is me. So I'm going to guess that Via is his sister because he put them in a group. So Mom, Dad, and Via. My name is August, by the way. I won't describe what I look like. Whatever you're thinking, it's probably worse. Oh, that's sad. Why I didn't go to school. this is the next chapter. Next week, I start 5th grade. Since I've never been to a real school before, I'm pretty much totally and completely petrified. This makes me think of our situation right now because I bet a lot of you have never been doing a virtual classroom. So he's kind of experienced a new type of school as well. People think I haven't gone to school because of the way I look, but it's not that. It's because all of the surgeries I've had, 27 since I was born. The bigger ones happened before I was even 4 years old, so I don't remember those. But I've had 2 or 3 surgeries every year since then, some big, some small. And because I'm little for my age, and I have some other medical mysteries that doctors never really figured out, I used to get sick a lot. That's when my parents decided it was better if I didn't go to school. I'm much stronger now, though. The last surgery I had was 8 months ago, and I probably won't have to have any more for another couple of years. Mom homeschools me. She used to be a children's book illustrator. She draws really great fairies and mermaids. Her boy stuff isn't so hot, though. She once tried to draw me a Darth Vader, but it ended up looking like some weird mushroom-shaped robot. I haven't seen her draw anything in a long time. I think she's too busy taking care of me and Via. I can't say I always wanted to go to school, because that wouldn't be exactly true. What I wanted was to go to school, but only if I could be like every other kid going to school, have lots of friends and hang out after school and stuff like that. I have a few really good friends now. Christopher is my best friend, followed by Zachary and Alex. We've known each other since we were babies, and since they've always known me the way I am, they're used to me. When we were little, we used to have playdates all the time, but then Christopher moved to Bridgeport in Connecticut. That's more than an hour away from where I live in North River Heights, which is at the top tip of Manhattan. Manhattan in New York City. And Zachary and Alex started going to school. It's funny. Even though Christopher's the one who moved far away, I still see him more than I see Zachary and Alex. They have all these new friends now. If we bump into each other on the street, they're still nice to me though. They always say hello. I have other friends too, but not as good as Christopher and Zach and Alex were. For instance, Zach and Alex always invited me to their birthday parties when we were little, but Joel and Eamon and Gabe never did. Emma invited me once, but I haven't seen her in a long time. And of course, I always go to Christopher's birthday. Maybe I'm making too big a deal about birthday parties. How I came to life. I like when Mom tells me this story because it makes me laugh so much. It's not funny in the way a joke is funny, but when my mom tells it, Via and I just start cracking up. So when I was in my mom's stomach, no one had any idea I would come out looking the way I look. Mom had had Via 4 years before, and that had been such a walk in the park, Mom's expression, that there was no reason to run any special tests. Walk in the park. So is it an actual walk in the park, or what is that used? What figurative language is that? So walk in the park just means that it was easy. Like a walk in the park should be easy. After about 2 months before I was born, the doctors realized there was something wrong with my face, but they didn't think it was going to be bad. They told Mom and Dad I had a cleft palate and some other stuff going on. They called it small anomaly. Sorry, I ran out of memory. My iPad, I had to delete some stuff. There were 2 nurses in the delivery room that night I was born. One was very nice and sweet. The other one, Mom said, did not seem at all nice or sweet. She had very big arms, and here comes the funny part. She kept farting, like she'd bring Mom some ice chips and then fart. Ice chips are ice cubes. Kind of like chips. They look like chips, I guess. She'd check Mom's blood pressure and fart. Mom says it was unbelievable because the nurse had never even said excuse me. Meanwhile, Mom's regular doctor wasn't on duty that night, so Mom got stuck with this cranky kid doctor she and Dad named Doogie after some old TV show or something. They didn't actually call him that to his face. But Mom says that even though everyone in the room was kind of grumpy, Dad kept making her laugh all night long. When I came out of Mom's stomach, she said the whole room got very quiet. Mom didn't even get a chance to look at me because the nice nurse immediately rushed me out of the room. Dad was in such a hurry to follow her that he dropped the video camera, which broke into a million pieces. And then Mom got very upset and tried to get out of bed to see where they were going, but the farting nurse put her very big arms on Mom to keep her down in bed. They were practically fighting because Mom was hysterical, and the farting nurses was yelling at her to stay calm. And then they both started screaming for the doctor. So, hysterical. If we didn't know what that word meant, we could use context clues around it to help us figure out. So they're practically fighting because Mom was hysterical. And if you think about what had just happened in the story, so she has the baby, they take the baby away, she probably wants to see the baby, so she is hysterical. How would someone maybe act if they wanted to get to their child? So hysterical could be very, I need to see the baby, I need to see the baby. That would be hysterical. But guess what? Oh, so they both started screaming for the doctor. But guess what? He had fainted right on the floor. So when the farting nurse saw that he had fainted, she started pushing him with her foot to get him to wake up, yelling at him the whole time. What kind of doctor are you? What kind of doctor are you? Get up, get up. And then all of a sudden, she let out the biggest, loudest, smelliest fart in the history of farts. Mom thinks it was actually the fart that finally woke the doctor up. Anyway, when Mom tells this story, she acts out all the parts, including the farting noises, and it is so, so, so funny. Mom says the farting nurse turned out to be a very nice woman. She stayed with Mom the whole time, didn't leave her side even after Dad came back and the doctors told them how sick I was. Mom remembers exactly what the nurse whispered in her ear when the doctor told her I probably wouldn't live through the night. Everyone born of God overcometh the world. And the next day, after I had lived through the night, it was the nurse who held Mom's hand when they brought her to meet me for the first time. Well, that probably was a sweet moment. Mom says by then they had told her all about me. She had been preparing herself for the seeing of me. But she says that when she looked down into my tiny, mushed-up face for the first time, all she could see was how pretty my eyes were. Mom is beautiful, by the way, and Dad is handsome. Via is pretty, in case you were wondering. Okay, so we'll stop there. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow for our read aloud of Wonder.